What? Prince 007 said late. Come on, man. It's 1 minute, okay? It's 1 minute. We've seen much worse before, okay? But no, I was trying to figure out the sound. My browser sound for some reason wasn't working. So I was trying to get that working for the music, but it wasn't working, so I had to switch to the iTunes. So I was just sorting that. Otherwise, I would have been early, to be honest with you. But how's everybody doing? One Piece chapter 1077 is out. Last chapter was pretty exciting. It was a really good chapter. At the second half of it, we cut to Elbaf. We got to see Shanks, Dory, and Bragi. Eustace Kid is pulling up. Now, I personally don't think we're gonna get back to that action in this chapter. I was already pretty surprised when it first happened with with like Blackbeard and Law. But given that there was a break week, I said like I just don't think we're gonna go back there, and it just feels like we're gonna go right back to Egghead at the start of this chapter. But nonetheless, Elbaf is coming soon. The arc is gonna happen for anybody that for some reason believed that it wasn't gonna happen, and it's looking like it's gonna be pretty damn good. Just in case any of you guys missed it, I've done a couple of collabs during this past week. I did one collab on Parvision's channel about like a week back, so you could go check that out on his channel. I did a stream 3 days ago on Sunday on Randy Choi's channel. I know a lot of people were asking whether or not me and Randy were gonna cook something up soon, and it's been a while since we have. So that was fun. In both those streams, we discussed, of course, everything that's going on in Egghead, a lot about SBS 105, especially in Randy's channel. We'll talk about a little bit on this stream as well after we get through the chapter. But yeah, that's pretty much what's been going on in terms of content. Yesterday, dropped my first long form video in a long time. Thank you for everybody that's been patient. But yeah, it's been a process for me to kind of get back into my creative zone and, get back on a grind. So apologies for the lack of videos recently. Hopefully this one will kickstart the content back up on this channel in terms of both long form and short form. And I'm just not only just doing streams out here. But yeah, some content finally rolling around from your boy. This stream, though, of course, we're talking about the new chapter 1077. But good to see everybody in chat. MM, bro, what's good, Brian? Been a minute since I've seen you. Hope you're doing well, man. Absurd Person, love the name. What's up? I will pin a link to it. We are reading OP scans because it is out. Not sure if TCB is gonna drop today. I believe last time they did, right? They started dropping a day earlier. So we'll see if TCB drops while we're streaming or something. I will read that as well because their quality tends to be a little bit better. But OP Scans is already out with their chapter, so I will pull the chapter up, and I'll just drop the link up top here on their link tree, and then you could go there to their website and everything. Luffy, what's good, man? You're my favorite character. Fahad, sorry if I pronounced your name wrong. Appreciate the love. Sonic fan, what's up? What's up? Sensei guy, what's good, man? Matthew, my favorite YouTuber. Appreciate the love, man. Sorry for the lack of content. If I am your favorite YouTuber, but hopefully I'll be back on some more consistency across the board with all types of content. But hey, like I said, done a couple of collabs. First video went up, and hopefully this will get me going a little bit. Karu99, what's good? Sanji's eyebrows changing again? I have no idea what you're talking about. Is that in a new chapter? Because I have not read it yet. And with that being said, let's just get right into the chapter so we don't get any other additional spoilers that is unwanted currently. So, here we go. One Piece chapter 1077. It is titled, Should Have Noticed Sooner. Okay, I'm guessing this is referring to the Traitor. Now, If you tuned into the previous chapter reactions, I wasn't really that locked in to this Traitor plot for a long time, because like I kind of just let it go until we really get some substantial hints. And last chapter was really the first chapter that I felt like really starting to get like dragged into this plot and really getting invested, because now we're finding out whoever this Traitor is has been locking up CP agents for like 2 months now. And like, you know, we're starting to see potentially a bit more of their motives and how they're possibly working with the world government. So as I discussed in my recent collabs, I think the couple people I'm most suspicious of right now is number one, Stussy, as at least an accomplice, because it was Stussy in the first place that called the Marines to show up at Egghead. Okay, so like when they found out the Straw Hats were in Egghead, it wasn't Kaku or Lucci that told the other government agents to tell the Marines. It was actually Stussy that did that. Now, it might be her just playing the role, playing the part, but the fact that Kizaru showed up right away with a Gorosei member makes it a little suspicious, especially in the recent chapter that we found out Vegapunk was like, how could the government know about this? So it seems like, you know, Stussy might be like pro-government and she's like actually turned on that side and working with them. I still think one of the Vegapunks is obviously like really the mastermind behind all of this, or like working along with Stussy, because they have been like doing stuff like this for the past couple of months. And as far as who I'm suspicious of there, I think Atlas, you have to be at least a little suspicious of, just because she wasn't around when the barriers went down. Everybody was all in one place, but then when the barriers got down, allowing the CP agents, Lucci, and the Seraphims to get in, she was the only one that wasn't around. She was getting fixed up, but she got fixed up pretty quickly. The other person that's a little suspicious is York, purely because like her character just feels like Chondro to me. Like, she is by far the least interesting punk out of all of them. All she does is like does like the basic human functions for everybody, and her personality is greed, so it feels like that hasn't really come through as much. And right now she just feels like a bit of a gag character in a way, kind of like Chondro was until we found out he was a traitor and became much more interesting. But those are my thoughts right now. Let's get into this chapter. Let's see what other hints we get going off the title of the chapter here. But first, we have the continuation of the Germa 66 cover page. It looks like we are now done with the Vegapunk flashback, which is a shame, because last one we had seen Vegapunk was talking to the Gorosei, and now we're back to the present and both of them are just thinking about Vegapunk. And the dialogue here is, come to think of it, it was actually Vegapunk who got in our way. Okay, so yeah, so I guess like it was, the cover story didn't reveal too much, but I did still think it was pretty cool that we were in Egghead while also getting a Vegapunk cover page to kind of like shows the present and the past. But it looks like that's all we're gonna get out of this cover page. I'm wondering if we go immediately into another one. We still haven't gotten to like the across the decks of the 3 billion berry man. Like every time Luffy has a massive jump, we see all the reactions and stuff. So hopefully we get that soon. That could be fun, and we'll see. Let's get into the chapter though. Do we get Shanks versus Kid? I don't think so. And no, we're back in Egghead. Okay, yeah. I was really surprised that we even continued off of that Blackbeard and Law action for another like half a chapter. But I'm assuming we don't go back to Elbaf until we go to Elbaf and Egghead is supposedly over. Okay, Egghead Fabrial Factory. So we are in the lower part of Egghead now. Looks like Sentomaru saying, "You people, you all need to get off this island." What? Who's he talking to here? Okay, so he's talking to the researchers. Good guy Sentomaru telling the researchers, hey, you guys should probably get out of here too, because the world government's about to pull up with a bunch of battleships, and it's probably going to get like Buster called practically. What's going on, Sir Sentomaru? I will say that was one thing I was thinking about, like Vegapunk never really told the other researchers, like, hey, you guys should probably get out of here. Like he said, like, evacuate the researchers, but he never made the command like, hey, the world government's coming after me, you guys might be in trouble, you know? So shout out to Sentomaru actually clearing the air here. Just what is happening on this island? Why are the pacifistas deployed all over the island? Long ago. Oh, snap. Yo, okay, Sentomaru dropping some Ohara knowledge. Long ago, there was this land called Ohara. One day, it was just vanished off the world map. Because they Sentomaru going from like, hey, I'm part of the Marines, now to just like, you know what, fuck it, man. I'ma just spill the beans. I'ma spill it all. Some of these researchers here gotta be like, hey man, I don't wanna know this story, okay? I still technically work for the world government. Maybe I could get out of this. Don't tell me this story. But knowing the Marines, probably they have no chance. We're getting a little refresher here as well, which is kind of weird because we already like saw Saul and everything. An Ohara incident refresher, in case you needed it, I guess. On the island of Ohara, which had the world's largest historical library. I like these drawings, though, like Baby Robin, Saul in the background, Clover, Ovia, Kuzan's face is hilarious here. The island scholars and the other residents who decided to decipher the poneglyphs, which were forbidden by the world government, all lost their lives to an attack by the Marines. The lone survivor was a young child named Nico Robin, the Devil's Child. Okay, Sentomaru continues the story. Them going after Old Man Punk, the smartest man in the world, means they've weighed all the possible consequences and decided it's time to erase him. Okay, so he picked up on things pretty quickly. I still really want to know Sentomaru's backstory. Do they have connections to Wano based off the way they're dressed? How did Vegapunk come to save them? Hopefully we'll get that as well. If so, then an incident much worse than that incident could happen here anytime. Would they really just destroy everything though? The other thing I was wondering, Punk Record's also a little bit suspicious, by the way. If Vegapunk leaves here, is he leaving behind Punk Records, or is he gonna be able to download that somehow? Right? Or like he can't take that egg, right? Like how is that gonna happen? Like if the world government destroys Punk Records, isn't him and all the other punks just like completely messed up? Because he's essentially put his brain in there and now he just connects to it via satellite. So like, I don't know how that's gonna work. Maybe he thought the world government wasn't gonna destroy Egghead, but it seems like Sentomaru is catching on. Hurry up, Straw Hat. What's going on here? Well, listen, man. Dr. Vegapunk is nowhere to be found. Command room, 4th floor, building A. So we're in the main building on the 4th floor. Wheeze, what the hell are these guys? Okay, so yeah, Luffy, we're still getting the Luffy-Lucci team up against the Seraphims. Looking like the Seraphims might be holding up pretty well. Kong Organ, Hand Pistol, Yellow Lotus, they're just letting it rip against them. And S-Bear is just eating them like they're potato chips. All right, shout out S-Bear. Okay, I mean like, even like, I was saying this last chapter, this is a really good test of how strong these Seraphim are, because if you have actual Kuma and actual Mihawk, that's going to be a big issue. But I really thought that was going to be S-Hawk showing out. I didn't think S-Bear was going to be tanking it like this. Okay, Kuma stock going up a little bit, even though right now he's a complete brainless robot. Okay, here we're getting the S-Hawk action. Kaku with a Tempest kick. Dodged. Slaughter. And then now Zoro. All right, Zoro. You got to be able to show up against this Mihawk child clone here at least, man. Itoryu. Yai. Shishi Sun. Okay, that one hits. S-Hawk eats that one. Let's see how much damage they do though. Is that some blood coming out? I don't know. Damn, though. Both of them ate him like it's nothing. No blood, no nothing. You can't even see a cut. What are they made out of? What the hell? Yeah, that's what Luffy's saying. He's like, what the? What's going on? You guys are getting up way too fast. Enough already. What are you guys, Kaido? That's mad funny. Yeah, they're fine. They're completely fine. Okay, the Seraphim are officially a problem because these are still kids, bro. That's pretty crazy. I know they need like constant influx of green blood and all that, but they just took on a Yonko. They literally took on a Yonko and Zoro and 2 CP0 agents, and they're completely fine. It's a 4v2 and they're chilling. That's pretty crazy. Now that I think about it, they kind of look like that king guy I fought in. Oh, okay, so it's the Seraphim. Okay. Kaido's crew had a Lunarian. Damn. Okay, so Shaka didn't know about it either. I don't know what tribe he was from or what his name was. I see. That man was probably Albert. Okay. The test subject who escaped from Punk Hazard with Kaido. Okay, Vegapunk. Now I got some beef with you. You did experiment on him. Okay, so like your hands are a little dirty here. So hold on though. But this means Zoro knows the trick. I believe it was when the flame goes out when they're attacking. That's when you have to attack. The Seraphim are strengthened by his Lunarian blood. Really? Damn, it all came from King? You guys drained him like that? That's crazy, man. That's crazy. If that's the case, keep an eye. Yeah, there you go. Tell him the trick. Keep an eye for the flames on their back. I can't believe Vega. Like, how did Shaka should know this? No, like Shaka has the memories of Vegapunk. He experimented on them. How come Shaka isn't giving them this information? Suspicious. Our attacks only work when that flame is out, huh? But when they're on fire, they're almost invincible. Sorry for making you guys waste energy like that. I should have noticed sooner. No, Shaka should have noticed that sooner, and for some reason didn't point it out. I don't know how good you actually are, Shaka. No, it's fine. At least now we know how to fight them. King's special features were his white hair, dark skin, black wings, and flames on his back. You should have noticed sooner. Oh, man. Where are you going, Helmet? I have an idea where Stella might be. Oh, Shaka. Shaka, I don't know about this. Shaka looking sus. Shaka's looking kind of sus. He was the one in control of everything. Okay, he was saying like, hey, like Dragon, I think I'm gonna die. Maybe he wants to sacrifice all the other punks so that the Stella survives. I don't know what his plan is, but he's looking real sus in this chapter. Get out of our damn way. Okay, so there's Zoro fighting S-Hawk there. We're in a bit of a rush. S-Hawk freaking out a little bit. Now we go one floor below on the third floor. Let's go, Zeus. Okay, Nami. All right, Nami busting out Zeus, but this shot, Oda going crazy, man. Oda going crazy in Egghead. Don't think of him as a kid, and he's not Jinbei either. You hurt my friends. God damn, bro. Brook got decapitated? You beat Edison half to... Oh, man. Yeah, no, they're down bad. You're a murder machine. Oh, man. And so, yeah, Edison's bodied. Brook got decapitated, but obviously he's still gonna be fine. You're not cute at all. You're nothing like a kid. You're right, Nami. Don't hold back. Just close your eyes. This is a good moment here because obviously we know Nami has a special place in her heart for kids. She always has those moments, like her connection with Tama, the Punk Hazard kids. She has a very motherly like trait about her, right? So it's particularly hard for her to fight against a kid version of Jinbei, one of her crewmates here. Push me out and leave the rest to me. Okay, Zeus, let's see what you got. Thunderbolt. Okay, right through him. All right. Was his flames off, though? Oh, oh, damn. Okay. Yo, Nami climbing the power scale and ladder for the Straw Hats, okay? Because Brook just got bodied. And, listen, you could call her a glass cannon, but that is one strong cannon if she just took out S-Shark like that. Jinbei, I'm so sorry. Oh, and now he's fallen down into the ground. Splash. Okay, so he's not done yet. Did he just dive again? Nami, get out of there. He's coming up from below. What? It didn't work. Okay, so it dealt some damage, though. You got to give props for dealing a good amount of damage. Now, he's going right after Nami. Okay, Brook, step up here. Obeyed? Ah. Going by Article 1 of Sanji Land's Constitution. What the hell? Scaring Oh, okay. Going by Article 1 of Sanji Land's Constitution, scaring Nami is punishable by death. And by Article 9 of Sanji Land's Constitution, making Nami scream is punishable by... Okay. Cooked rare strike. There you go, Sanji. Alright, I was wondering where you were, bro. Alright, come through. Coming in clutch. That one hopefully knocks his ass out. And at least for the meantime, he's getting decked into the distance there. Sanji, Nami, are you hurt anywhere? I'll take care of it now. I already warned you once, you damn brat. I don't care if you're just a little brat or Jinbei. You'll be put to death, little Jinbei. God damn, okay. Now we're going to building C on the 3rd floor. Here we have Lilith. How dare you turn your... Yeah, this was Lilith faced up against S Snake. Okay, she's firing a bubble gun. I don't know how effective that's gonna be. Let's see. Yikes, that didn't... No. So it didn't do nothing. All right, see? Now this is interesting. This bubble gun being used in front of Usopp in particular has me a little excited, because one thing that I still want to happen is Vegapunk should be addressing each and every Straw Hat and be like, hey, here's how you get stronger. Hey, Sanji, you can activate your Germa genes this way and utilize them here. Frankie, let me upgrade your weapons. You know, the Usopp, let me upgrade your bullets because you couldn't tickle page 1 back in Wano. You know, Nami, let me figure out this Zeus situation a little better, upgrade your Clean Attack. There's so much potential here what Vegapunk could do to get him stronger. Usopp in particular, as we head to Elbaf after he was just like taking a back seat for the entirety of Wano, this has me a little excited here. All right, let's see what this bubble gun actually did though. It absolutely just like numbed S-Hawk. What? It's bubble made from the energy of... Oh, okay. Damn, all right. That's pretty clutch. You don't even need sea stone. You could just make bubbles from the energy of the sea? That's pretty crazy. That's the risk of having the green blood. Bubble is your weakness. Okay. Whoa, that was awesome, Lilith. Hehe. Let's subdue her while we still can. All right, now Frankie's going to show out. Oh, no, never mind. I just got kicked in the chin. Don't touch me, you bastard. Ouch. The effect already wore off. It's because it just grazed her. Okay. Give that shit to Usopp. All right, he'll figure it out. Wow, she's mad. Okay, she launches a big blast in their way. This is some good action in this chapter, all right? Frankie coming back for some revenge. Just absolutely decks her with a big bubble, bro. Goddamn. How about it now, you little brat? All right, Frankie with a sneak attack. Nice one, Frankie. I told you the bubble gun works. Give it up, little runt. I am suffering. Oh, I'm sorry. Perfume. Ah, no, man. And now he's getting petrified too. Damn, I'm turning into stone. Yeah, Frankie's turning into stone. That's not good. He's going to die. Bubble gun. Uh-oh, she's dodging it all now. Usopp, will you come through clutch? You might have to come through clutch here, man. The wink, and nope, both of them get petrified. All right. I guess that's all it takes. Mellow. And looks like everybody got decked. Underground, formerly a Devil Fruit Laboratory. Huh? Who's there? Are you the culprit? Get us out of here. Okay, so Shaka's got in here, but he looks a little confused. He's saying, huh? So is it not him? Let's scroll down. No way. It's the cipher pole that... Okay, so it's not him. Why are you here? Hold on now. We just saw York got petrified, as far as we know. But maybe that was a play. Maybe that was a way to get her out of there while the S Snake takes care of the other people. I still think Stussy's got to be involved, because when the shields went down, the main thing was getting Stussy in along with the other Seraphim so they could have people to take out the Straw Hats. Please help me, please. I don't want to die. Is it Atlas? I would say it's Atlas or York still. I would still say it's Atlas or York. Shaka. Okay, there's Vegapunk. Stella. So you were here. Who on earth did this to you? Thank goodness you're okay. Hey, Shaka. Oh, no, don't end this chapter here. Who did you come with? Huh? Click. Uh-oh. Oh, damn! Hey, yo! Like that? Headshot? Oh my god. Show us who it is, bro. Show us who it is. Shaka. Yeah, he's been shot. Okay, he gotta be done now, right? He gotta be done now. What the hell is happening? Splatter. Yeah, no, Shaka's gotta be dead. Alright, Oda. We writing it like this now? This how we proceeding? And now somebody is walking down the stairs. It's not Lilith. Lilith scratched out. Edison scratched out. York technically turned into stone. We don't know. So what we have left? Pythagoras, Stussy, and Atlas. Hey, man. I'm not counting out York. We'll see. We'll see. All right, people. Let me get back to the chat here to see what you guys are saying here. Yo. What? I was not expecting Shaka to get headshotted like that, man. That shit was crazy. Oda's evolving, you bro. The outfits, we should already know when we saw the outfits. Straight just no pants for any women. Like he was on it, man. S-Snake proving a whole One Piece verse is sus. I will say, I think is this, all right? I think this chapter is more obvious that like they're just like, oh, she's adorable. Like she's such a cute little kid, and then they just fall for it. If we see anybody like genuinely, like the CP agents were a little more like sus because they had like hard eyes, they had their tongue sticking out and shit. Like that was weird. All right, you're not doing that because you think some little girl is cute. Is it S-Flamingo? Ooh, not a terrible shout. Ooh, the world government connection as well. Like S-Flamingo just has that personality they couldn't control. I don't hate it. And there was might have been a hint that like S-Bear that said he was kind of a brat, a problem child. And like maybe that's because Kuma like rebels against the world government. Man, S-Flamingo might be climbing the ladders a little bit. Like I said earlier, my first couple of suspicions were still Atlas because she wasn't there when the shields went down, and also York because it just feels like her character is just like too bland. So Chin said Caribou, but it doesn't make sense to be Caribou. Cause he wasn't here like trapping all these CP agents for the past 2 months. He literally just got here by chance. And so he's definitely not working with the world government. Spandam has not been seen at all, but like he hasn't been on Egghead for the past 2 months either to trap all these CP agents. Rashid Black does make a good point. Oda can't let him survive that. You can't get... That's a cold-blooded panel right there. All right, if Shaka comes back next chapter and he's like, hey, man, that was rough. That was a rough one. All right, then we got some problems. But for now, Oda's looking like he's on some demon time here. He could have followed Shaka. We never even saw Spandam show up to Egghead. So we don't even know he's here. Caribou doesn't use guns. I can see him using a gun. It just doesn't make sense overall, though, for it to be him in terms of the information that we know. Oda a capper, but like, he got his brains blown out like that, bro. Like... The fact that Shaka said he was gonna die too, like, I don't know. Also, like, why didn't he tell anybody else? Like, he knew what Vegapunk was. Is Shaka having, like, a big play here? Is it actually Stussy to shoot Shaka? And then... Because Shaka, as far as motives go, the Shaka motive would have been, like, I want Vegapunk to you know, to leave this island safely, and none of us... other punks deserved, like, we need to, like, give ourselves up to make sure Vegapunk survives. But I never bought that too much because the actions just don't make sense. Like, Vegapunk literally could have just survived without all this nonsense happening, and now you have the Marine showing up. And the fact that they're talking about it being connected to world government, it doesn't make sense for it to be Shaka, in my opinion. York is, like I said, York is suspicious because the character just feels a little bland. The fact that it's greed as well feels like maybe there's potential for it to want to take over, want more outside of just doing human functions for everybody. It feels a bit of a chondro energy there. Stussy, I still think, is working with whoever. Who was Stussy with? Who was Stussy with? Let me check. We got that last chapter, did we not? Or is it? No, chapter before that. Let me go back. Yeah, so third floor was Edison, Nami, and Brooke. Okay, so it was Atlas, Chopper, and Robin on Tower A, floor 2. So they're closest to the basement. But so was, yeah, they were technically on the same floor still as Shaka and all of them. And then was Stussy, Sanji, and Jinbei. Sanji went off on his own, though, to save Nami. But he was in B Tower, floor 2, and he ended up on Tower A, floor 3? Interesting, okay. Yup, and Frankie was with Usopp, York, and Lilith. Okay. Whoever shot Shaka, Vegapunk himself doesn't recognize, but the person didn't come down yet is the thing. Right? All we're hearing is footsteps, so Vegapunk didn't see them yet. He says, Shaka, who'd you come with? Shaka gets shot, and then we don't see a picture. We don't see an image of somebody. Somebody starts to walk down, and then we see Vegapunk's reaction. And he shook. So he clearly, like, he would not be reacting like that he would not be reacting like that to Caribou. Or even Spandam, I don't think. It's got to be one of the... Atlas can... Yeah, Atlas is suspicious. I would still say the top two... The top two for the punks is Atlas and York. But hold on. Pythagoras got blown up, but then was fine. We don't see him in this chapter. Where was Pythagoras in this chapter, huh? Because Lilith, Frankie, Usopp found Pythagoras last chapter by as Snake. This chapter we don't see Pythagoras. They're just fighting alone. Unless I missed them somewhere in the background. Let me double check just to make sure. Scroll back down here. Hold on. All right. That's Nami. Okay, there's Usopp. Fine off the buff. Oh, no. Okay, no. Pythagoras is still there. Okay, never mind. I missed him. I just missed him. No, so it's not Pythagoras. It's not Pythagoras. Unless after everybody gets defeated here, Pythagoras gets out of there by himself. Because we don't see Pythagoras get petrified. I would still lean towards think it was Atlas was with Robin and Chopper, right? Like Robin would catch on pretty quickly. And the way Atlas got decked by Lucci like that, I don't know if like she could just sneak by Robin. S-Flamingo is a good one though. I like S-Flamingo a lot. That might actually be moving to the top of my list. I should have known, like, who should have known? Like, yeah, the fucking Doflamingo Seraphim, maybe. The one we still haven't seen anywhere. Maybe that one goes crazy. Which one would go crazy and work with the world government and capture all of these people and have this personality? S-Flamingo, you know? I feel like that might be the answer. Van Augur? Nah, Van Augur was on Law's Island already. Like, it would be pretty crazy for him to make it all the way to Egghead. That doesn't mean, like, the Blackbeard Pirates can't get involved, but it would have to be, in my opinion, like, Katarina Devon, like, posing as somebody else, or Shiryu, who's been invisible this whole time. But, like, why would they work with the world government? They haven't... It'd be weird for them to, you know, like, what's the motive here of, like, taking down world government agents for the past 2 months? And it wasn't like they haven't been there for 2 months either, because we saw them on Pirate Island. We saw them on Pirate Island when Blackbeard was reacting to the news about Wano. Blackbeard crew doesn't make sense. Only people would give the order to the Vegapunks. That's another good point. So add that to the list of reasons why the Blackbeard Pirates being the traitor doesn't make sense. They could still be involved in the arc, but them being the traitor doesn't make sense. Elijah, what's good, man? Shapeshift doesn't change the fact you need the device. It's like they were saying is like an actual activation. Whoever has like the control button, whatever, and each person has like a different level of command. Just because you could shapeshift into somebody doesn't mean you could just have control all of a sudden. What's good? What's good, Kuya? Kizaru and Saturn are like not on the island right now, so no, it's not them. They could be working with whoever the traitor is, because we know that the world government found out. Well, maybe not Kizaru, but maybe like the Gorosei knew about some information here, because Vegapunk last chapter said like the world government shouldn't have known about me studying the poneglyphs. Like, how could that happen? So that kind of ties into the motive of things. And which is why S-Flamingo makes even more sense, because if it has the knowledge of like inherent knowledge somehow of Doflamingo as well, it could easily be like, hey man, like I'm trying to work with the world government, you know, his motives are going to be different and like for himself. We've crossed out most of the Vegapunks though at this point. The only punk that we haven't seen take action is Atlas. The only ones that are still suspicious are really Pythagoras, who is with the gang in this chapter, but we don't see him get petrified, and also maybe York, who's in some kind of long play, but I don't know if that makes sense anymore. Atlas seems the most suspicious right now, just based off the evidence that we're given. But I do think S-Flamingo makes the most sense. Maybe a S-Flamingo and Stussy team up. Oh yeah, and also people were saying Sanji's eyebrows turned back. I don't know. I guess it's like his German genes is like has to be activated with a raid suit or something. I'm not sure. Yeah, so it was curled one way and then it curls the other way when it comes back after the kick. But he's destroyed the raid suit now, so he can't activate it again, I guess. I don't know. Stussy that shot Shaka. The thing is, you do have to wonder about Stussy a little bit because Sanji was with the Stussy group, but he's separated from them. So now it's just Stussy and Jinbei. And like that's all it takes there is just one nom. Alright, one nom and then she's gone. Turn face and turn back. I mean, like, here's the thing about I talked about this a little bit with Randy, but Stussy was the number one person I was suspicious at the very least is some sort of accomplice because number one, she was the person that called the Marines and said, hey, the Straw Hats are here, get them over here. And the fact that like a Gorosei member shows up, that feels like a pretty big deal. And the fact that last chapter we get information about Vegapunk saying, hey, they shouldn't have known about this stuff. Like me studying the poneglyphs. Feels like the motive is connected to the world government somehow. Which makes S-Flamingo very suspicious and Stussy as well. Because she's been working with the world government this entire time. Another thing Randy pointed out when I discussed this with him is back in Whole Cake Island. When she was just by herself, she killed Dufeld because she was like the Tamate Bako belongs to the world government. Like that, she didn't have to put up an act there. Like that could have been like a portrayal of her clear motives where she was like actually pro world government. So that was a good point Randy made. So maybe like this entire time, like how much can you control a clone? You know, she seems very sentient, like very human like. Could she actually be turned to the other side by the world government already? St. Charlos. Oh man, he comes down and he's like, this is what you get. This is what you get for taking my slave. What if it's Caesar and Judge? Come on, man. Stop it. S-Fat, S-Gecko. By the way, I don't think the fact that we haven't seen any other warlords besides the pre-time skip ones makes me believe that there are no there's no S-Clown. There's no S, I don't think there is a S like Weevil. But there is still other ones we haven't seen like S-Crocodile. S-Flamingo, of course. And S-Fat. S-Fat. Blackbeard is especially a no, I think. Because Blackbeard was a warlord for such a short amount of time. And the fact that his body is unique, you think he would have like let them like get any like DNA on him? There's no chance. S-Flamingo, like, is just not right not having a Seraphim, Doflamingo, and Crocodile. I think they will have it. And S-Flamingo is climbing the sus list for sure. I would say the top of my sus list right now is S-Flamingo and Stussy still. We go one below that would be Atlas. And then you go one below that would be York, Pythagoras, and Punk Records. The fact that the title, I mean, so far, based off of OP scans, the title is I Should Have Known, I believe, right? Let me scroll back up. Should have noticed sooner. Should have noticed sooner. The other thing, though, I will say, like, S-Flamingo, like, you should have control of S-Flamingo to some degree and monitor them pretty closely. So like for it to go off rogue and like take down all of these government agents for the past 2 months and you not notice, I don't know, Vegapunk might be drinking too much world government juice where he's becoming competent as well. So part of me makes me think it has to still be one of the Vegapunks because they won't be monitored 24/7 like the Seraphims would be. So then who it is? Who is it? Could be, is it just Atlas? Just tossed off Chopper. That sounds weird, but just boxed Chopper and Robin and just knocked them into another space and just came down by herself. And then while she was getting fixed up, turn off the defenses real quick and then turn them back on so the Seraphims could come back through. I don't know. She's violence as well. Like the fact that like that was a pretty violent panel we just saw. Maybe Atlas is top tier as well. It was a regular gun. We don't know. What if it's like a... Could be just like a super pistol. Like, not everything has to be like some crazy stuff, you know? It does look like a gun with a silencer on it, to be fair. Damn, that's a crazy... Yo, I'm just gonna say this. If Shaka comes back up next chapter, he's like, oh, damn. He pulls the Pagaya at the end of Egghead. Comes back, oh, Vegapunk-san. Were you worried about me? Elbaf is gonna explain One Piece legends or government secrets or even devil fruits with the inspiration of Yggdrasil mentioned. It will have a lot of hints. We're not gonna get the answers until we get to the One Piece. We're building up to it, right? Like, it's pretty crazy though. Like Egghead, like we're getting like teases of how devil fruit were origin, like where they came from, and you know, like Vegapunk knows some of the information. I'm sure when Robin gets there, she'll study everything and like get more information. We'll get some lore out of Elbaf as well. But we're not gonna get all the answers. It's just gonna be build up until we get to Laugh Tale and finally get the explanation of everything. It might be enough build up and teases that by the time before we even get there, people can start to kind of already figure it out. Because there have been a lot of information dropped, especially recently, from Wano to now. But we're not gonna get the full story. Kui's just dancing on Shaka's grave over there, bro. Some supernova can be part 2 of this imposter. Who? Urush? It's surely not the S Warlords, but you think it's a supernova member that's just been hidden within Egghead this entire time? That don't make sense. You gotta explain your train of thought there to me, because the Seraphims we actually know are here, and like they could go rogue and do their own thing. The supernova, like Apu, like we know Law's not there. We know Bonnie's not the one. Luffy and Zoro's not the one. Kid's in Elbaf. Hawkins is dead. Killer's in Elbaf. Who's left, dude? Uruj is the last one. You think Uruj is the one that did this? Yes, I did notice, people pointed it out. I didn't notice initially, but people pointed out Sanji's eyebrows. What I want is, that's the other thing I got excited about this chapter, is Usopp seeing the bubble gun. So maybe something relating with Sanji's Germa genes. What we need is, what I want is Vegapunk by the end of this, powering up the Straw Hats and making them stronger and explaining them a bunch of stuff. Yeah, you know, we haven't seen Uta in a while. You know what? As a matter of fact, like, where's Whoop Slap at? Like, when was the last time we saw him in a cover page story? Frankie with a bubble gun? That could be cool. Frankie is the one with a lot to gain here, because he could just incorporate a bunch of fucking weapons. Once Saturn gets there, he'll have the highest authority. True. But he has to get on the island. It looking like I don't know if he's gonna get on the island. I still want to know the answer by Vegapunk on, like, what's he gonna do with the Punk records? If they destroy or take over that thing, then he has no brain left. Pearl from no, it's Jin, guys. Jin's back. Jin's back. You don't know. Like, we don't see. I should have seen it sooner, man. Oda's been setting this up. He's one of the only characters that haven't returned to the story. As a matter, I think it's got to be Jin or Enel. Like, one of those two's got to be the answer. How wouldn't Saturn be the one controlling the Seraphim? Because he's not on the island. He's on the ship. He doesn't got long-range Wi-Fi like that. What up, Nigel? Got a break in at work? Appreciate you stopping by, man. Did you peep the chapter yet? Yeah, peep the chapter. It's pretty solid. Good action. Now, Bonnie's over there just absorbing trauma right now, okay? Like, Bonnie is not going to be the one. Crazy how Oda brought back Holy Jones. Man. It's actually Foxy. It's Don Condoriano. Condoriano has finally reappeared in the story. How long been live? About an hour. We've been discussing it for a bit, but we're still discussing the chapter because the Traitor stuff's just interesting right now. Condoriano, he really is an absolute just like enigma of the One Piece story, because it's just that filler arc was so popular and he was just such a goofy character that like every One Piece fan knows about him. Maybe there are probably people that didn't even see the arc and like they know about Condoriano. Yes, Bachi, the bug from Baratier, or the rat that Sanji fed. It's actually him. He's now all grown up. Traitor has the power to write the program chip of the Seraphim. Not necessarily. I guess in a way, because like the other Vegapunks aren't being listened to. So maybe something was getting programmed there. I will say, now that we know it's not Lilith, one thing to point out is that at the beginning when we showed up to Egghead, the shark was going rogue, right? And like trying to eat people up. And Lilith said like, hey man, like I guess you really can't like take the innate nature out of these animals. Or the programming had a bug, which is a really important point, because now we could connect that to the CP agents getting destroyed after they leave Egghead, because someone reprogrammed the sea beasts without Lilith, who's actually in control of them, knowing. So easily whoever did this could be reprogramming a whole bunch of other stuff like the Seraphim. Choo Choo the doggo is actually elite. One of my favorite characters. Only because of the elite voice acting. All right. Whoever voice acted Choo Choo or Cho Cho needs an Oscar, to be honest. Daimon really popped it on Shaka like it was nothing. Punk Records, yes. Absolutely. Still on the sus list, Punk Records is, but there's just not as much motive and evidence besides like just this idea of AI taking over. I feel like just like it's still on the sus list, but some of the other people just have potentially higher motives. L helmet. Couldn't even make it bulletproof. You got all this technology, could not stop a regular gun. What's the helmet even for then, right? That kind of makes you think. Why you got a helmet on in the first place? Oh, okay. The light to be erased is Vegapunk. He's one of them. But Emu's also just blasting islands right now. Scratch Man and Apu. On a real note, Apu's got to be done in the story, right? I don't think we ever see him again. Apu, I feel like Apu's got to be done. Next chapter starts with a meh. If it is S-Flamingo, maybe he's made his own S treble. All right. We got a baby treble. Treble to this day's gotta be the worst character in One Piece. I feel like the only traitors are Seraphim based on what we first met Lilith. They simply grew a will of their own because they're clones, not robots. Yeah, which makes S-Flamingo suspicious. The only counter I have right now is like they are monitoring them pretty closely. So for them to be reprogramming not only the other Seraphims, but also like the sea beasts to take down the world government agents and stuff like that. That's a lot to miss when you have 6 Vegapunks monitoring the whole place. Sanji Land Constitution was funny. The other thing that was pretty hilarious in this chapter was what was it? It's at the beginning, I think. Yeah, Luffy calling the Seraphim Kaido. That was pretty funny. How many articles they get? It's flexible, man. They got amendments for the Sanji Land Constitution. Sanji has always been a bit sus. We will have, I think eventually, just because it's Oda, we're gonna get a S-Hawk and Sanji interaction. I just hope for the sake of him, he could beat the allegations there. Because this chapter, like Usopp and Lilith took the bait. But I think for them, it was pretty clear, like they were just like, oh, what an adorable little girl. The CP agents were still kind of weird because they got like their tongues out like they were Bellamy and shit like that. That was a little weird. All right, that was pretty sus. So when Sanji inevitably meets up with S-Hawk, we're gonna have to really keen in on the reaction to see if he can beat the allegations. But yeah, that being said, I think we've pretty much figured out like the overall sus of who could be the traitor. S-Snake, did I say something else? Yeah, but I meant S-Snake. Oh, I said S-Hawk? Nah, I meant S-Snake. But yeah, as far as the traitor goes, I still think right now, top of the list, S-Flamingo, Stussy, Atlas is right there. And then the other ones that still have a bit of suspicions, Pythagoras, York, and Punk Records. And then the unserious one is, of course, like Jin, Treble, Condoriano, like Enel. It could be any of those guys. Atlas is moving Saturn. Yep. Parvision pointed that out to me last stream, which is why Atlas is at the top of that list, right by S-Flamingo and them. That being said, since we pretty much discussed everything here, should we talk about the SBS a little bit? Did everybody see the SBS? SBS 105. Or as I like to call it, the closing chapters of Wano. Let me find it here first from Artur. Glance, but didn't see it. All right, word. Let's take a look then. There were a couple big ones that took the headlines for this SBS. Starting with Zoro's family tree was entirely revealed in SBS 105. So we find out he indeed is actually a direct descendant of... Hold on, let me bring the chat over here so I can still see y'all. There we go. But yeah, he's actually related to Ryuma and Ushimaru because his grandmother was Shimotsuki Ushimaru's older sister, which makes sense timeline-wise, by the way. I just, like, the Ushimaru is Zoro's dad thing. That was such a dumb theory, in my opinion. Sorry to anybody that believed in that theory or came up with that theory. All you had to do was look at the timeline for like 3 seconds and been like, oh yeah, it wouldn't make sense for Zoro's dad to be like 2 generations older than him. And that theory would have been dead. But it always could have made sense that he was like his grandfather or something like that. Turns out he's his great uncle, because he is, his grandma is Shimotsuki Ushimaru's older sister. She ends up marrying Roanoa Pin Zoro. What a name. Apparently it's like related to gambling or something like that. But he was just one of the swordsmen from the village that the Shimotsukis arrived in. So they get it on. They get it together. And then you have Zoro's parents, who are pretty much nobodies, to be honest. We have Rono Arashi, who died again in a battle against pirates. And then we have Terra, a daughter of thieving bandits, who died of illness. Shout out Usopp's mom as well, who met a similar fate. And then together they made Zoro. But yeah, that was one thing a lot of people were upset about for not getting in the story. For me, Zoro's parents, not a big deal. Like, we never cared about him in the story in the first place. You could have potentially explored this a little bit. There's still potential to explore it eventually sometime in the future. Some people think maybe it's like a crazy connection with Mihawk that maybe Zoro's dad was killed by Mihawk or something like that. I don't think it necessarily has to be that, but that's a cool idea. But overall, like Zoro's parents, I don't care about too much. The bigger thing I think is the fact that he is actually related to Ryuma, and you tease that and build that up in like kind of a mini subplot in Wano with Shusui and with like Ushimaru being introduced and looking very like Zoro. And everybody saying, hey, like Ryuma was also a one-eyed swordsman. So like all of that was like kind of teased, and then we just left Wano without having any of that information. That to me was just like not complete writing. I think that bit of information could have just been pushed into the end of the arc, and it could have been done like in so many different ways. Zoro visits Ryuma's grave and he figures it out that way, talks to some people. It just felt like this was one of the many things that made it pretty clear to me that Wano was very rushed at the end. Whether that's Oda like just got tired of it and he had too much to handle, he wanted Act 3 to be 100 chapters, or he wanted to get Shanks there to promote Film Red. Whatever the reasons were, Wano, the ending was just like very quickly wrapped up. So this was one of the many things I think that just got pushed into the SBS. But besides that, the thing that's even worse in my opinion is Tama being a Korazumi is confirmed in the SBS. Shout out Randy Choi. He was on this theory for a long time. I've loved it ever since I heard it in the first place, because the potential for that story was so good, and Oda knew it too because he wrote it into the story. But for some reason decided, you know what? I'm just not gonna explore it. This to me was the biggest miss, because you have Tama here being a Korazumi, being part of this very heavily like big theme, big storyline of Wano, of this like back and forth like battle of hatred and vengeance between the Kozuki and Korazumis. That was a huge plot line. Orochi became the way he was because of what happened to him and his family. Same thing with Kandro, the two biggest villains outside of Kaido in the arc, that we got a lot of development towards. The creation of their hatred and villainous was because of something that the Kozuki clan did. But in the end, that was not addressed. Instead, we got this controversial moment of Hiyori saying Korazumi was born to burn, which Oda said, hey man, like if you paid attention to the story, you understand she's referring to Orochi alone in the singular, which a lot of people took that as like, look at that, you dumbasses, you don't know how to read. But to me, it was like, that was never the problem. This got way too much focus on whether or not Hiyori was like Hitler or she's just talking about Orochi. This was not the problem. The problem was we left Wano without any resolution. Any resolution of like, how do we move past this point of the Korazumis being like hunted down in the past, and that's how it led to this hatred of the Kozukis. And Oda kind of discussed it a little bit in SBS, where he said like, so how would the others react if they found out Otama has Korazumi blood? I want you to try and think that for yourself, both in the past and present. This is a very prevalent issue in our society, which I'm not mad at that angle. Like if you wanted to portray, hey, it's realistic. Like it's hard to get over 20 years of like torture just because your ancestors fucked up in the past, right? That's a real conversation you can have in the story, but he didn't explore that in the story either. The problem I always had with this Kozuki and Korazumi storyline is that not like Hiyori's reaction and like she decided to announce to a crowd that Orochi was born to burn. It was that we just left Wano without exploring either side of it. Whether that's a struggle to get over this hatred of what Orochi did to them, even though they are at fault to some degree because of what their ancestors and probably some of them that are still alive did in the past, or some kind of resolution where like Momonosuke and Tama were friends, right? And now he's the Shogun of Wano, and now Tama is a Korizumi, and that's an interesting plot line to explore. Either way, like, he just essentially said, like, hey, here's an interesting plot line that I had, but you could just imagine it yourself. I'm not gonna write in this story. And that to me is the biggest miss. Outside, like the Zoro stuff, you tease in the story, but over in the end, that's not like a big plot line. But like Wano, this was a big plot line revolving around multiple characters, from Odin to Orochi to Kandro to the entirety of Wano, essentially, Tama's character as a whole. So you had this like very big, important plot line, and in the end, you were just like, I'm just gonna ignore it, and you could kind of just imagine it for yourself. And to me, that's a massive miss. Oda defenders are gonna be like, you can't write the story better. Oda's still goated. Listen, I don't hate Oda. I'm loving Egghead. Egghead's still fantastic. Okay, I love One Piece, obviously. But this was a miss. This was not good. I'm just gonna say it like it is. Some people say we could come back to Wano eventually, but you missed the timing. This was the narrative climax to explore it, because we just spent over 100 chapters on the focal point of this plot. For us to come back later is gonna, number one, you're not gonna feel as connected. Number two, I think there's a high likelihood it kind of feels shoehorned in, and it's just not as relevant. We never really gone back to another, like, to a previous island to resolve another issue. You know? So if it happens later and it gets resolved later, like, I'll be happy that we get that, but I don't think it's gonna hit the same. And I'm gonna think that until I get proven wrong otherwise in the story. What y'all think about this though? Some people might not even care, which is fine as well. Sukiyaki knows. So the day Momo and Hiyori learned the truth of Tama's lineage. Listen, Sukiyaki, he was pretty pointless, to be honest. Because we didn't explore him either. He was like, hey, listen, I don't want to, I've been just hiding this whole time, so I don't want to talk to Momo. Next chapter, he talks to Momo. Like, he just changed his mind in the chapter. He simply bit off a lot more than he can chew. That's exactly what I think. I think he just had way too much to juggle. And then by the end, he was just like, you know what? I'm just going to end it. We're going to wrap this arc up. Left it like that purposely. How do you, like, what do you think was the purpose of that? What's the resolution you think that we will get that will be better than addressing that in Wano? Egghead best arc? I wouldn't say it's the best arc in the story, but it's fantastic. Henry, you retracted your message. You said I was wrong. I noticed that earlier, man. I want to hear your thoughts, because like, I don't want to just be like, oh, you guys are wrong. You guys don't know how to read, because I think that type of toxic conversation that comes from both sides is like, you're not progressing the conversation either way. So if anybody thinks differently, whether you don't care, which is completely fine, or like you think there's a better option, I would love to discuss it, because it's interesting to me. Because I think some people think it's like realistic, but then I'm like, you didn't really explore in the story. Wano's 7 out of 10 arc is still a good arc. Like, I'm not saying Wano's horrible or the worst arc ever. I just think the ending was pretty bad, or pretty badly wrapped up. But the arc as a whole has some peak moments, has some great writing. Act 1 of Wano in particular was fantastic. Act 2, I think, is when things got too messy. Act 2, I think, is like already, if you were reading Act 2 casually, right? Not as somebody who's super invested in the storylines, you're just a fan of One Piece, you read it once a week and you're done and you move on. If you read Act 2 like that, not like incredibly locked in, like trying to find all the deeper themes and that stuff like that, you're going to get confused pretty quickly, because every other chapter it was like, oh, here's Kamazo the killer that's moving on. There's somebody that's stealing from the rich and from the poor. Oh, here's Hiyori, and then she's also Koromurasaki, and here's Big Mom, and She's now in udon. She has amnesia, and it was just like so many different things set up at once. You couldn't even focus on any of the storylines, which is why Ashura Doji, despite having actually a pretty good, well-written story arc, it was so like thinly scattered throughout this massive arc. A lot of people just didn't connect to it at all, myself included. I think there are ways to readdress this. Thomas still has to grow up in Wano by the end of the day. With Pluton, Yamato, I do see us going back. But like us going back to Wano, do you think we're going to go back? Like, yeah, Pluton's there. We have to go back to Wano to get Pluton. How many chapters do we spend going back? We get an entire arc just to go back to get Pluton, and all of a sudden now we are readdressed? Like, how do you reconnect us to that storyline now that we've been gone from Wano for so long? Because if we go back to Wano, the feeling is going to be like, hey, like, we found out Tama is a Korazumi, and now it's, now, like, you know, we're addressing this, but it just feels late at that point. Not late as in, like, too late to address it by, like, Momo and the characters, but, like, in terms of, like, when it could hit the best. You know what I'm saying? Like, you address that at the end of Wano. You just won this battle, but now you have this internal conflict you have to resolve. And you get Momonosuke, the new shogun, having this moment with Tama. Like, that's all connected. It's all in one arc. It's the arc that, you know, where we found out the conflict and had characters that we cared about and learned about and developed. And you solve the issue there and address it. Or at least get development. Maybe you don't even solve the issue. Maybe you say, hey, this is going to take a long time. We're going to struggle with getting over this hatred. Some people had their like family members starved to death and, you know, sent into slavery. Obviously, they're just not going to care about the Korazumis. They're still going to hate them. But you got to show us that, man. You can't just come in an SBS and say, I want you to think about that. You know, I want like, come on, man. The whole point of the story is to show us, not tell us. And like this goes beyond telling us because he didn't even tell us in the story. He told us in the SBS. Yamato was fodder. Yep. That's the other thing. When the ending of the arc feels rushed and wrapped up too quickly and there's things missing and you just start to think about other things that didn't really matter and that you didn't really care about. Like Yamato's character, I feel like didn't really go anywhere in the end, and we spent so much time with her. So yeah, you know, that's my thoughts on that. In terms of, I feel like this was the biggest part of the SBS that was an issue for me. Can we all agree Yamato will join? Maybe like at the end of the story, but at this point, nobody's going to feel like she's a Straw Hat. She doesn't have the connections to the crew. She doesn't have the build-up, character development. Like, it just doesn't, like, her being a Straw Hat member just doesn't, she would feel like Tama eventually would join when she grows up. But, like, is she, like, a main core protagonist Straw Hat? It's not going to feel that way. Got here late, but I agree with you. Wano was incredibly rushed at the end due to Oda taking too much time on the pointless storylines. Wano's still good arc, but could have been a lot better. And listen, like at the end of the day, like we are criticizing it not because we hate Oda or are like trying to see his downfall. Obviously not. We're all One Piece fans at the end of the day. We know what Oda is capable of. The man drops bangers all the time, and when he's not writing up to standard, we just gotta be real and point that out. You know, it's not like we are going after him specifically. Anybody that's doing that, I think, you know, you're being kind of a clown to like attack him personally over like how he's writing a story. And it goes the other way too. Anybody just defends him blindlessly and saying like anybody that disagrees with his writing is just and you're like personally attacking people. At that point, it's like, guys, like find some new hobbies. Like, you are way too online. Good time would be officially decides to open the borders. It could be good leadership. That could be, yeah. There are ways to address this later where like it's a good way to wrap it up. But I still feel like addressing it now, like even Tama, like even Tama being a Korazumi, it just feels like if you were gonna address it later, save that. Don't tell us in the SBS. Let us find that out in the story, you know? The SBS is great and all that we get all this additional information, but at the end of the day, the manga is the core story that you're creating and writing. You cannot rely on all these outside sources to be like supplementary content, essentially. You know, they're just bonuses. You can't look at them as part of the story. It's kind of the same thing where like Brandy talked about this, where the manga, the East Blue Saga ended on chapter 100. Clearly Oda wanted to do that. And because of that, we had some things that were cut out in the Logtown arc that were fantastic. Like the Daddy Masterson stuff, the bar scene, all of that went to the anime that we got in the anime. And Oda said originally he wanted that in the story, but he just kept it out and cut it out because presumably he wanted East Blue Saga, the prologue, the prologue to end at 100 chapters. You know, that's it's cool and all, but it's a bit of a flaw because at the end of the day, your story is the manga. It's not the anime. It's not the SBS, right? At least that's how I think. Karu now with Vivi and Morgan hideout. The duck is RIP. You're way too online. Too many people are way too online these days, man. And I think part of that has to do with COVID, because a lot of people just like grew up in the middle of COVID, you know, and like that became their main source of like communication with a lot of people. I don't want Vivi joining. She's an ally. She's quite literally a straw hat. Like, she's not an ally. Vivi is coming back. She's rejoining the crew, and she's going to be an Elbaf. You can choose to ignore the SBS by choice. You could not even know about it if you're a reader of the manga, to be honest. Waffle Pirates, software engine. Now, you're online to work, though. That being said, those were two big things of the SBS. We got some little things. Here's the full family tree and all that. Some little comic information. This one's another big one here. Oda says the currently Chopper does not have the medical capacity to make medicine that can reverse the smile laughing effects. Oda says there are things we can't do anything about in this world, but believes that the people of Wano will pull through. What do we think about that? Because I've been talking a lot. I want to hear your guys' thoughts first, and then I'll give my thoughts. So I'm not like being biased or like influence y'all in any way. You hear that quote right there from the SBS. What are our thoughts? Maybe the anime addressed, but then like it's not your story anymore. That's the animators making a better story. Queen is a better researcher than Chopper. Kind of like that every problem can, not that every problem can be magically solved. Okay, I get that sentiment to a degree. Could talk. The only time Oda has used that sound with Emu, I believe, is just walking. Is just taking steps is the sound effect. It would not make sense for Emu to be on Egghead. If it is, I will come back to this and apologize to you. I promise you, Mona. Chopper's situation I didn't have a problem with, but I do think having a scene chapter acknowledging this would have made a world of difference. Curing smiles is something that would have to be done on a genetic level. That only makes sense at the end of Chopper's journey, not the almost end. But maybe they could come back to Wano and Pluton and cure them. Totally agree Chopper can cure smile. If Chopper could, he could have done it already with Law. Marco, I'm guessing you mean cannot. Yeah, can't cure. Luffy can solve smiles by laughing and bring them joy. All laugh problems secure. Solved. They shouldn't be healed. The Straw Hats can't just show up and solve problem that lasts every 20 years. I think Chopper and Zoro wanting to work together to save them would be amazing. Didn't need to be solved. Okay, so it looks like the sentiment is Chopper. It makes sense. Chopper can't solve the issues, and he can't just come in and solve every problem. Then there will be no struggle, right? And I agree with that. I fully agree with that. The person I agree with the most is hold on, where was it? There it is. Tay said the Chopper situation I have a problem with. Disagree with that to a degree, but I do think having a scene of acknowledging this would have made a world of difference. To me, here's the problem. The problem is not Chopper not being able to cure the smile effects. That makes sense. He can't cure everything. His dream is to do so. All right, but obviously he doesn't have all the answers right now. The problem is if his dream is to cure everything and he leaves Wano without acknowledging the smiles at all, you're taking a main cast character and an important dream that they have and just saying, fuck their development. All right, like, because now you think, does Chopper even, okay, so like Chopper just left. I know he can't cure them, but does he even care? He didn't even talk about it. He didn't feel a certain type of way about it or anything like that. My comparison that I made is this. We go to Baradier. Mihawk shows up. Zoro obviously cannot defeat Mihawk. He is not the strongest swordsman. Okay? He gets defeated by Mihawk. If after he gets defeated by Mihawk, we just cut to Arlong Park, and we don't get a moment of him crying, saying to Luffy, I'm gonna never lose again. You got that, Pirate King? Okay, this loss was brutal to me. I felt it. It pained me to know how weak I was, and now I'm gonna train that much harder to know how difficult my goal is, how difficult my dream is, and how hard I have to work to get there. All right? That was a huge moment of development to let us know about Zoro, what type of person he is, and get development towards his dream and how he's going to act. Because now following that, every battle he won, we think back to that moment, the struggle, just how down he felt about himself. And now we're rooting for him to keep getting better and better. Chopper, this is a moment for him where he's seeing this whole country have this terrible side effect. Does he not care? Show us the moment of Chopper being like, oh, this absolutely sucks. I can't do anything about it. I need to figure this out. We don't get that moment. That is a massive missed opportunity, in my opinion, to develop one of your main characters. Unless you just don't think the Straw Hats are main characters anymore. Which, to be fair, post-time skip, they just haven't gotten the spotlight either. So that kind of backs that idea. Of course, some people are just not gonna care about Chopper either. But personally, I care about the Straw Hats. I care about Chopper. If his dream is to cure everything, and this was a moment of struggle for him, show us his struggle. Show us that development. What is to not show us anything? How are we going to feel when we get to the end and Chopper's just like, oh, you know what? It's been 5 years and now I've studied everything and now I could cure everything. We're not going to care really. But if we see him struggle in these moments, in the moment again in Punk Hazard where he's like, man, I can't cure these kids. If we see these moments of struggle, by the end of it, we're going to care. Think about the other two characters. Luffy, his losses. He gets destroyed by the Marines. He couldn't do anything at Marineford. He his lost his crew, lost his brother. Now we've seen him struggle. We see every single fight, his journey towards the Pirate King. We're invested because of that, because we've seen his struggle. Same thing with Zoro, like I mentioned earlier. Chopper, when he achieves his dream, who's gonna care? It's gonna be like, oh, good for you, Chopper. You learned how to read a bunch of books and now you know the answer. We're not really gonna be invested because we don't see these struggle. We don't see these moments of struggle at all. So to me, this was a missed opportunity in a sense, but like it also could be that Oda just doesn't care about developing Chopper's dream anymore, which maybe he's just merchandise now. Like maybe he's just merchandise. No Chopper slander. I'm not slandering Chopper. I want more development for him. He's just not getting it. He's not getting it. I agree that would have been nice for his character to show some sense of defeat or couldn't do it. Yeah, exactly. Definitely have a point. Agree with you. Thank you. Killer did not get fixed. He's still laughing away. What panel will we got to replace? What panel that we've got would you replace with that moment? What do you mean? Which moment? Talking about the Zoro moment, or are you talking about Chopper? Chopper did cure 2 viruses in Wano. The prison one and the ice demon. You expect more. I mean, those were 2 quick moments in the middle of war. Those are kind of his like battle achievements in a way. But like this was the big issue, right? The smiles. That's like, think about when we learned about the smiles, how much of a chilling moment that was. Be like, oh my God, that is fucked up. That is so fucked up, right? That is a crazy, insane person type of thing to do to people. And like, and then to just leave that there. Like, if we didn't have Chopper and his dream to cure everything, we could have left Wano and been like, you know what? The people of Wano will fight through this and they're going to get better. And now they're going to learn to laugh on their own accord. That could be good. But when you have a character who wants to cure everything, whose sole dream is driven by his inability to do anything when his father figure died, partially due to his own dumbassery of giving him a poisonous mushroom, right? Like that flashback was so good for us to learn about Chopper's like reasoning for achieving his dream and like all the studying he's done since then to get to the point where he was when he joined the Straw Hats. But then since then, he's got nothing. He doesn't struggle anymore. We don't see him progressing even that much outside of the time skip. Like, it's just like, it's kind of a background dream at this point. Wano's arc, and I agree that Wano's arc and it was kind of poo. Never realized the whole Chopper thing, but now that you mention 100% agree. It's just a missed opportunity in my opinion, right? Like, I think some people don't care about Chopper too much. And it's fine if you don't. Like, if you don't like Chopper, it's not going to be a big deal. But for me, as someone who really value the Straw Hats and crew building, the main cast of Straw Hats was what really made me fall in love with the story. So I really pick up on these things a lot, and really, you know, any opportunities to develop the Straw Hats, and they don't get it, and like it just feels like they're slowly becoming less important, which I don't want. It's not just Chopper, no Marco farewell. Kiku and Izo, that was a weird miss. Ashra Doji, yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna go back and like redo all of Wano. We've done that already, okay? We've had our Wano discussions. We're moved past a lot of the Wano discussions in general. We're on to Egghead, we're on to the final saga. Everything's been fantastic so far. In the final saga, I'm having a ton of fun. But the SBS, it felt, like I said, SBS 105 to me feels like the closing chapters of Wano. And one tweet I made, and I think this is a really good thing to point out, is that you got to remember the SBS is the SBS question corner. It's not like just a thing where Oda's like, hey guys, I want you guys to know some information, that's outside of the story. It's not just that. It's actually fans sending in questions to ask Oda that he chooses to answer. And the fact that by the time that Wano is over, we have this many major questions about certain plot lines from Chopper to Zoro to Tama after the arc is over, I think goes to show that Oda kind of rushed that arc and left a lot of things kind of unsaid, essentially. Just kind of left a lot of loose ends. And, you know, it is what it is. We're moved on from Wano, like I said, and we're on to enjoying Egghead, but it was good to get this SBS, and I think it's fun to discuss, to kind of just close the chapter on Wano and just the overall thoughts on it and everything like that. Is my music stopped? Here. Get the music back up. But yeah, that's pretty much, those are really the 3 main points, I believe. I didn't see the Sanji thing, though. Oda reveals Sanji's scientific alterations gave him abnormally high resistance to heat. Okay. So it looks like, yeah, Diable Jambe, Frit Jambe is all related to his genetics, which makes sense. Cool. And he did mention the Hiyori scene was the last scene of Wano he was really looking forward to drawing. Weird choice, personally, I would say, but Oda drew Kaido ate a sour plum, and then some other little things there, but that's it. That was SBS 105. Kind of closes the chapter on Wano, and yeah, those are my general thoughts on it. I think some of it was a miss. I think some of it there's no need to really overreact to, like the Zoro stuff. But yeah, Egghead has been fantastic, and I just hope Oda, I think as long as Oda doesn't rush and he has time to really figure things out, he's still fantastic and can bring us goated stories. Who is worse than Wano, Zoro, or Chopper? No, it's Chopper. It's Chopper. Because Zoro still got a decent amount of shine. I think maybe the expectations were a little too high for him. I think the main miss is not revealing like he had a connection to Ryuma. But outside of that, I think Zoro's shine in Wano was decent. Chopper, on the other hand, the worst person in Wano, let's be honest, was Usopp. And I don't think it's close, to be honest. For real, these are main characters, the highest selling manga of all time. Yeah, and it just doesn't feel that way too much post time skip, which I think makes some people like myself to a degree think that pre time skip is better. But yeah, to each his own. Some people don't care about Chopper. Some people don't care about the Straw Hats too much. They like more focus on law and stuff like that. I like the Straw Hats to get their shine, which is why I'm loving Egghead. You know, the Straw Hat crew all together interacting and all that. I'm having a great time. What did Zoro want to ask Vegapunk? I think that was a scam mistranslation that got carried away a little too much. Because the official said, hey Vegapunk, we have some demands for you. Which is kind of like just like tough guy speak in a way. Like, hey, you better listen to us. Like, you know, we're in control here. So I don't think it was really anything specific because we haven't built off that at all. Oda's still genius? Absolutely, of course. To come up with a story of this magnitude and length, and for how great it is, the amount of different themes and characters and storytelling that he's able to do, it's top 3. It's my top 3 favorite manga of all time. Clearly, I'm a big fan still, which is why I still read it, make videos on it. I'm wearing a Straw Hat shirt. I got all the Straw Hat figurines, bounty posters, all the manga. I got everything you can imagine. I love this story, okay? But I just keep it real when something's not hitting. When something I think could be done better, I'ma just speak my mind, because that's what this chapter is for. And I like having these discussions as long as they're being had with reasonable people that are not just like taking manga or like reading analysis as their identity and start insulting people and stuff like that. Any predictions for next chapter? I think we get the reveal of who this person is. The action's gonna ramp up, and I think it's about time we get an update from the battleship situation. I think we'll be seeing some of the other battleships pulling up, maybe Smoker, because I think he will be pretty heavily involved in this arc. It could be the breaking point for him, because once he finds out the mission that Vegapunk is going to be taken out, and he was the person that, you know, cured the kids in the first place, I think Smoker's going to turn, probably. But beyond that, it's also hard to predict, because we've been just getting these like gigantic moments outside of Egghead every once in a while. So you never know when that's going to happen again. We still need to continue to build off the Bonnie and Kuma storyline. She's just currently soaking in the trauma. We need to know more about his story. Who, according to me, is Traitor? For those of you that weren't here earlier, my top of the sus list right now is S-Flamingo, because he, with his personality and the connections to Vegapunk last chapter, saying, hey, like, the world government shouldn't have known about this, and Doflamingo's connections to the world government, and the fact that the title was should have known it was you, like, it feels like Doflamingo could be the perfect guy for that. The only pushback I personally have against that is that it'd be kind of weird for how much the Seraphims are monitored for them not to notice that he's reprogramming the Seraphim and the Sea Beast and all that. So that has me a little just pushing back on the idea of S-Flamingo a bit. Stussy, I'm incredibly sus of, especially as just an accomplice, because she was the one that called the Marines in the first place when she found out the Straw Hats had arrived on Egghead. So after she did that, Kizaru shows up with a Gorosei member, which is suspicious. And then when the shields go down, she was one of the first ones up along with the other Seraphim. So maybe whoever she's working with wanted her to be there as well. And then beyond that, Stussy's moment back in Whole Cake Island where she took out Dufeld when she was all by herself to try to get the Tamaite Bako for the world government, feels like she might be actually on the side of the world government. So that seems suspicious, and she is top of the sus list at the very least as an accomplice. And then right below those two is Atlas, because Atlas, number one, she is like, her trait is violence. So like her blasting Shaka in the dome like that could kind of fit. She's also the only Vegapunk that we don't see in the past, like this chapter, in any action, right? We see pretty much everybody besides Atlas and York, who's already petrified, but she is still kind of sus to me. But Atlas is at the top of that list because we don't see her. She also was the only one not in the control room when the defenses first went down. She was getting healed, but we don't know if she was actually getting healed. Because she recovered pretty quickly. And then there's also the point that Parvision made to me in our last collab where he said Atlas is actually a moon of Saturn, who is JD Garcia Saturn, a Gorosei member. So multiple things to be suspicious of there. She's top of the ladder. Outside of that, minor sus we have on Pythagoras, because we didn't see him get petrified in this chapter, even though the rest of the team did. York, I'm still suspicious of because she gives off Chondro vibes, where she's kind of a bland, empty character, and her personality is greed, and she's not really showing that too much. And then Punk Records, just for the sake of like the idea that AI takes over, could be a possibility. But at the top of the ladder is S-Flamingo, Stussy, and Atlas. There's my whole spiel on who I think the traitor is. Besides those guys, I think even more likely would probably be Jin. Like, if the title is should have known sooner, like Jin, we've been saying this whole time, when's Jin gonna come back? I think he's back, guys. I just hope when we find out who the traitor on Egghead is, it's a Eureka moment, not like a oh okay moment. The thing is, when we think about it and talk about it so much, eventually, like, you're gonna guess one of them. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna be suspicious of everybody. Which is why, like, for a long time, I was kind of like just like casually reading through it because I want to be surprised by it, right? But now I'm like too far deep in. Hobuzab gets developed in Elbaf. He definitely will be getting more focus. I just don't know how much focus he will be getting. I hope it's a lot, personally, but I'm not going to set my expectations too high because I kind of did that for Zoro. Smoker for Straw Hat, I don't believe in it. I think Morge makes a great argument, but I think the argument should stop at Smoker betrays the Marines and becomes just his own pirate. I just don't think it makes sense for him to join the crew. He'll be an ally. I think that makes sense, though. Even temporarily, I can see him like riding the ship with the Straw Hats and being like an ally, kind of in that vibe for sure. Would be crazy if 100 ships pull up and Smoker isn't on one. Nah, he has to be there. Like, he's by the closest base. Some of the sword members should be showing up, and we'll get some more information on Garp and all that. It'd be a bit in your face, though, if the character named Stussy isn't the traitor. I don't know the story behind the name Stussy, if you could enlighten me. Or are you trying to say like Stussy is sussy? I agree with you that when you put it all together from whole came also. Don't know what that sentence means, my friend. What's wrong with Sanji in 1077? Nothing's wrong with him. People pointed out that his eyebrows changed back. I'm not going to think too much on that until we get more information from Vegapunk, which, by the way, I also want to see Vegapunk eventually talking to the Straw Hats and powering them up because he knows so much information. Main, appreciate the congrats on 100K. Thank you, man. Who's the master of Caribou? I think Caribou is just trying to sell information. I don't think he belongs to anybody, to be honest. Chapter is out. Top of the link on the top of the chat. Oda mentioned the eyebrows as in the SBS as well. I didn't see it there, but maybe he did. But either way, I'm just waiting till Vegapunk interacts with him. Stussy being the traitor does make sense when you put it all to, oh yeah, okay, yeah. Stussy, because I reread entirety of Egghead after the collab I did with Parvision, because he really hooked me into like all the possibilities of who could be the traitor and stuff. And the person I was mostly suspicious of was Stussy. After this chapter, S-Flamingo makes a lot of sense. I think Atlas is super suspicious. But Stussy is the one that I've been on since with my own research before this chapter. I might wrap things up soon here. We're going close to 2 hours here. We probably pretty much talked about everything already, from the SBS to the chapter, kind of sorted everything out. More content will be coming. As I mentioned at the beginning of the stream, there's been a couple pieces of content I've dropped recently. I did a collab on Parvision's channel where we talked about the recency, everything that's been happening with Egghead. So check that out on Parvision's channel. 3 days ago on Sunday, did a collab with Randy Troy on his channel. It was a live stream, so you have to catch on the live tab. But we talked about everything from the SBS to everything that happened with Egghead, Vivi a little bit as well. Finally dropped my first long form video in a long time, which is me giving devil fruits to the red hair pirates, and none of them have one. So that was pretty fun to make. My first long form video in a while. So thank you for being patient. I'm waiting on that. Hopefully that gets me back in my groove and more content coming your way with that. But yeah, I'll probably drop like a collected thoughts chapter review, which I started doing on the second channel, for those of you that don't know. They're very like just low. They're just hold on. Where's my chat go? There it is. It's on the second channel there. I'm gonna be posting just my chapter discussions whenever chapters are worth discussing, which on the basis of Egghead has been most of the chapters. They're gonna be very low, like not highly edited. More so me just giving collected thoughts in like a 10 to 12-ish minute video is what I'll probably be aiming for. That way it's like if somebody misses the stream and like they don't want to sit through an hour-long stream to just give my thoughts, I could just throw it in right there. Oh yeah, I have the command of the Weep channel. I don't know why I didn't just use that, but there's a Discord as well. If you want to go chat in there, there's the Discord link. Appreciate it, Chin. I know you've been talking about that Randy collab for a while. So when he hit me up, I was like, Chin's gonna be happy about this. I do think it was like mad fucking late for you, unfortunately, when that stream happened. But you gotta blame Tekken and Roger Space, because we were gonna go at 12:15 and they were doing a stream at 1, and Randy was like, nah man, we're not going head to head with Tekken and Roger Space. Oh yeah, and then Randy couldn't figure it out because it was his first collab stream in his new place. So like we were late by like half an hour too. So that was rough. But yeah, that was fun. That was a good time. Always good to chat it up with Randy. Yeah, me and Randy been in a lot of collabs. He was my first collab, I believe. No, not my first collab, but first like official collab on this channel, I guess. And then yeah, we've been like reveries and different discussions and all types of stuff like that. And I'm sure we'll be chopping it up in the future as well. Yeah, Power Vision's cool, man. Met him in Comic-Con New York. He was cool to chill and hang with. He has incredibly unique theories that when you hear the headline, it seems crazy, but he does a pretty good job of backing everything up. And we always have fun discussions when he's discussing his theories and everything like that. That being said, people, we're at an hour 50. I think I'm gonna wrap things up here. Fun ass stream as always dope and fun talking to y'all. Always a good time. We'll be back next week when the next chapter drops, and hopefully in between there I'll have some shorts and to keep you guys with some content and stuff like that. But yeah, fun stream, fun discussions all around. 2-year membership next month. Appreciate the support. Appreciate the W's. Just got here, Australia. Listen, man, the VOD's gonna be up. You can go check it out. We talked about the SBS and everything like that. I'll do a chapter discussion video on the second channel tomorrow, so you could, if you want to wait on that, go peep that. But yeah, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, good night, wherever you are. Take care, everybody. Thanks for a fun stream.